Alright, sorry about that, guys. Apparently I was muted. So this is take two. Uh, Fuck, I can't believe I just did all that and I was muted. Alright, so back to the beginning. Alright, in this video I'm going to go over price checking, and I'm going to go over what it requires and how to understand and how to value something when it's referring to, trading in PO. And first thing I'm going to go over is attributes. Well, actually, before that, I'm going to just show you that I'm not, speaking out of my ass, that I have accumulated a massive shop, a lot of wealth, so that there's proof that I know what I'm talking about. I have like a level 99 on standard, which was formerly anarchy, 98 on anarchy, and I have a 88 on nemesis currently. You can see I've acquired so much currency. Everyone on my stream knows that I earn all this currency legitimately through trades. They see me trade all the time. Nothing about this is any kind of RMT. This is just all price checking, selling items for what they're worth, and getting the most bang for my buck. Alright, so now that I've covered that, let's go and help you understand what attributes and what makes you a better price checker. Okay, so we're talking about my build in particular, which is strength based. And the way this tree is set up is that the left side is red, which is strength based. The top / right side is blue, which is int. The bottom right is dex, and green. That's kind of like the areas of the abilities, the gems, and how they all relate to each other. So when you're on an HP side, an HP base, you're going to struggle with stats like intellect. You're going to get a few breathers like ancestral knowledge, elementalist, mana flows, hard knocks, but you're not going to get much help outside of that. You get a couple dex nodes. For the green side, you're gonna struggle with int and strength, but that's not really a problem. Green probably has the easiest way of getting attributes. As a CI mana or spellcaster user, strength and dex are definitely one of the ones that are harder to get. So understanding attributes on jewelry, that seems to be like the biggest problem and the biggest or the hardest to detect as far as price checking stuff. So we're gonna go over my gear once again, and I'm going to tell you how much I paid and how much I value it, and if I underpaid or overpaid, whatever. So knowing that attributes are so important, this is what I feel like is often undervalued when people are selling items. I bought this amulet for 15 chaos. Leech and life leech, mana leech and life leech are both very, very rare affixes to see on jewelry. Crit multi, not so rare. I see that way often, compared to any kind of leech. So immediately when I see leech, the value of this neck just skyrockets. It's an enabler because it allows you to do shitty affixes like mana, half regen, no regen. I can just solely rely on this one stat to provide fluidity in doing shitty or rare maps. The dex saves me from getting any amount of dex nodes, and the all attributes is amazing because that's int and dex, which I both struggle to get at this build. As you can see, if I didn't have int on gear, then I would have to spend 2 more points to get hard knocks, and those 2 points could be spent in, like, let's just look at the edges of where my tree is, and 14 health, 8 health, all these sweet ass nodes that I can barely get to. So attributes, don't underrate them. Whenever you see a life-based item like this coral ring, and you see 38 int, you should think, oh man, this thing is going to be worth a lot to somebody. When you see mana, you should automatically think auras. Auras, mana regen, people that run mind over matter builds, amazing stat. Just because somebody wants this ring but says, hey, that mana doesn't do shit for me, I'm blood magic, does not devalue this ring at all. Do not make that mistake in underpricing this ring because some affix does not apply to their build. It does not change the value. That just means that they're going to have to overpay something that's not min-maxed for their build. And that's the thing. Knowledge of this game and understanding of builds greatly dictates how much of an item is worth. If I find a CI item, I'm gonna want attributes like on a citrine amulet, because strength and dex, that's gonna be hot commodities for a CI based user. They're not gonna want to spend those valuable points that'll multiply their DPS, because the way ES is set up is that they're easy access and they don't have to spend so much on dumping all their points into ES nodes that they can afford to get a lot of crit and crit multiplier. So every point is so valuable to them, more so than I feel like HP based users or dex based hybrid users. So any amount of high dex, high strength is going to greatly increase them. They're going to need those stats to run those support gems at max level. That's the bottom line. They don't want to not level their gem because they're pigeonholed by how much strength or dex that they have. And trust me, all those builds require that. So once you understand that CI needs strength and dex, HP based users usually need a lot of int on gear. It helps a lot. And if you run something like double strike, then you're going to need a lot of dex, because that's a dex based gem, and you're not going to get enough from just this side. So like I look at these pair of gloves, and it's got more than 1.5 talent points worth of dex. So it's 30 plus 4. So this could potentially save somebody 3 talent points or 4 talent points, who knows. So I value these gloves very highly. The cold damage and armor are negligible, they're pretty much worthless, but it's got high life and 2 very good resist. I think I paid 5 chaos. I gladly would have paid up to 20. Great item, undervalued, that I picked up. This ring I actually bought at a huge bargain. Chaos resist is the most expensive thing to have in both hardcore and softcore leagues. I paid like 11 chaos for it. I gladly would have paid 2 exalts, because without this ring, look at my gear, it just breaks. This amulet I paid 15 chaos for. I gladly would have paid 1.5 to 2 exalts, even though there's no crit multi or whatever. It's still got great stats for any kind of resolute technique life-based characters. So when you look at an item, you need to understand what stats are going to make or break. Let's go look at some physical based items. So when you look at physical, okay, this is a very good example. And this, when I see flat fizz, I think of fast attacking builds like dual wield, because they're gonna scale the most with any kind of any amount of flat fizz. Base breaker is the first thing I go to. Okay, so what does base breaker need? They need intellect. They need dex. That's the way their trees are built. Those are very good commodities. That's like the way they can skip around and get sweeter HP nodes or resist or block or whatever that they need. So it automatically increases its value. But if I had like spell damage on this, you know, you run into that dilemma. Spell damage actually became viable when you added that item, Crown of Ice, because that would be attack damage, but then that would be CI. So you don't see any Facebreaker CI builds. They're all HP based, using that same cookie cutter, Lionized Shield or Aegis Aurora or anything like that. So I would value this amulet for a Facebreaker user around life on his decent, evasion is negligible. This amulet is not worth exalting. It's as is, probably will never get better. Probably around 5 to 8 chaos, maybe up to 10. This amulet, when I see weapon elemental damage, I think lightning arrow, I think infernal blow, I think lightning strike, anything that converts or adds physical damage to elemental. That's where weapon elemental really shines. Auras are obviously, weapon elemental multiplies that. But at lower gear levels, it's better to get flat elemental, because you're not going to be able to scale, you're not going to be able to use those high level gems, and your gear is not going to be GG enough to where it'll multiply greater than any kind of flat elemental damage. The physical, the brackets are 1 to 2, 3 to 4, and 5 to 6. 3 to 4, very rare. 5 to 6, insanely rare. If you were to roll an amulet from the ground up, you would need to start with the leech if you're an attack based build. If you're planning on having leech, don't be the one to eternal exalt it. It's like ridiculously hard to get those prefixes. So immediately when I look at this, I'm like Dex, Intellect. Okay, so very good for a lightning arrow build. You got evasion. Okay, I'm thinking Onder's Guile. I'm thinking accuracy from the Dex. More evasion from the Dex. Cold resist. It's above average cold resist. And physical damage, attack damage leeches life. That can also be very good for a split arrow build. Split arrow will use that, you know, to the fullest. Lightning arrow, it still benefits lightning arrow because it's 50% physical. So I'd probably value this around 1.5 exalts on Nemesis. If it were on standard, probably around 4. Understanding how much base type affects the price. So I was talking about this amulet earlier. Say it had perfect physical, like 15 to 26 or 12 to 26 or whatever the bracket was. I know that 26 is like the top bracket. And it had 50 int and it had 42 or higher cold resist. Didn't have the rarity. Let's just say it's 3 properties, but it's on a coral amulet. It's a fucking hot item for any Facebreaker build. They would, you know, cream over it, but it's on a shitty base. Because of that base, it almost neuters the entire value of the amulet, because it doesn't scale. Life regen is one of those things that's only good for races and low levels. At higher levels, it's nearly worthless. It doesn't have any kind of percentage base. That's what really hurts it. But if it were on a lapis amulet or a turquoise, ideally you would want it on a turquoise, then I would increase the value from those 3 stats. I would say that would be around 2 exalts. I would double it if it was on a better base. But since it's on a coral amulet, I would reduce it by 75%, and I would say it was worth half an exalt to a Facebreaker build. The rarity, adding, like, let's say I exalted it then, which I would never do, but let's just say I did, would then drop the price, because that's a horrible stat to get for a Facebreaker build. You would want to be a spellcaster with a gold amulet base. That's when the prices will multiply, because the magic finders, the MFers, are going to want a gold amulet base. That's just how the, you know, what they're looking for. And then they're going to want spell crit, crit multiplier, spell damage, rarity, quantity, all that good shit. And then maybe another prefix that they could have is like mana or something, or ES, or health. So I always price something on, let's say if it has 4 good properties. Let me see if I have one in here. Alright, let's go to standard. I have a lot more selection of items, so it'll be easier to show you. Okay, so this diamond ring. Diamond rings are hot shit in standard because everyone's scaling their damage to be out of control. You have every affix that any CI user would want. 40 int, 57 mana, 31 ES, and 2 good resist on a base type diamond ring. Diamond rings go for the most. That base increases their damage by so much that they're gonna pay top dollar for something like this. Now I'm going to base the price off of what it could be, but I'm not gonna charge for that price. So okay, the next best thing would be, let's see, it's got 3 suffixes and 2 prefixes. So attack base, I can go top wed 36 because obviously checking the item level 79, no problem. I could get top wed, and it would be like godly of a ring. What else could I get? Flat fizz 9 to 15. I could get what else would I want? Flat lightning for any kind of Voltaxic build, CI, Valpact. You know, the price, this ring can only get better. And if I were to exalt something on this, it would ruin the price that it's currently at. So I would value this ring at somewhere around, on a standard league, keep in mind, around 25 exalts. And that price might seem pretty high, but you have to consider how much mirrors go for. And that's pretty much the basis of your high end and low end, and how I scale price checks between leagues. I compare the mirror prices. So on standard, a mirror goes for 140 exalts to 150. On Nemesis, it goes from 35 to 40 max. That's what the prices are right now. I didn't make them. That's just the agreed upon community price of mirrors. So you gotta think a perfect item is worth that much. This is pretty damn good. It's nowhere near perfect, but it's every stat useful, desired, and can only get better. That's where I got the 25 exalts. If this were on Nemesis, I would say, since it's 35 exalts over there, I could probably sell this ring for four exalts maybe, as is. And if I exalted, what's a shitty prefix that I could exalt? 1 to 2 fire damage. That 25 exalt price, oops. That 25 exalt price now becomes like 12. It just completely ruins the ring from being epic. I would eternally exalt something like this, definitely. Because the way the prices are. But you always have to consider, you know, rings and amulets and eternal exalting it. The cost of that is 3 exalt minimum. You know, that's like, it's as good as it's gonna get. So you're gonna invest 3 exalts for 1 affix at a chance of an awesome affix. So I don't understand why people complain when you get a 6 property ring, amulet, or item in general, and it's got all useful stats, why they complain about having to pay multiple many exalts. A lot of people that understand the game don't complain because they know how much they would have to invest to get something like that, to you know, of that level. I usually charge something that, uh, let's say I would charge 60 to 70% of what I would think it would cost to craft something equivalent or worth that much. Because I've done a fair share of crafting myself. I've seen how rare each affix is on, all kinds of stuff. Weapons. I watch streams of people blowing thousands upon thousands of alterations. So it's no mystery. It's been revealed. You know what stats are good and how rare they are and uncommon. Something like tyrannical and stuff. You say this ring isn't worth multiple X, but I can tell you it is. This is the thing that I'm trying to correct. And I have the currency and I have the proof to show you that I'm not just speaking out of my ass. Like, I have a lot of experience trading. The more you understand the game, the more you understand builds, the more you can understand how valuable each affix is for a certain type of build. It becomes a problem when it's half spell, half melee, or half attack. Having an awesome spellcaster ring with like either physical damage, doesn't give it to EK, so it's worthless. Or getting something with attack damage, but it's a spell-based ring or an amulet, it's wasted. It automatically devalues the item. Okay, so let's take a look at my belt. I went over this earlier, but you guys couldn't hear me because I was muted. This has 3 perfect properties and 1 property that's in between. Strength goes up to 50. A rustic sash is an awesome base. It's a huge increase in physical damage, and it also applies to unique stuff like EK or bear trap. Something that doesn't really scale off of like strength or something. So this will help in every way. Leech better, and the strength triple dips. Gives me life, gives me projectile damage because I have iron grip, and it gives me melee physical damage. So it's an awesome stat to have. 3 perfect stat. This belt can only get better. The best 2 prefixes that I could roll on this would be high armor or wed. Both of those would make it a GG1 or GG belt. Or I could roll 40 to 45, 41 to 45. I think it's the top bracket ES. So let's just say I Eternal Exalted it and I got 43 ES. That makes this belt, instead of my build, optimal for my build, it now becomes optimal for an Aegis Aurora or an Eldritch Battery attack-based build. They would pay premium price for something like that. It's more perfect for them, not as worth it, not worth it for me. But I would value this belt at, as is with 4 properties right now, around 4 exalts on Nemesis. If I were to exalt perfect ES, I would value it then around 8 exalts. If I then exalted perfect wed, then I would value it around 25. Let's go backwards. If I exalted thorns on this belt that I would value at 4 exalts would now become 1.5, because it was just completely ruined. You get every shitty affix, it completely ruins the belt from what it potentially could be. Is this belt worth Eternal Exalting? Absolutely. Is it worth it for me? No, because my build doesn't do anything with armor or I don't really need armor to survive. And getting wed is very rare. It helps me, but it's not enough for me to want to spend multiple Eternal Exalts doing it. I'll let somebody else do it. Right now the belt is good enough for me. Everything on it, perfect. Let's take a look at my staff. My staff, I paid 7 chaos, which is a complete steal in my opinion. I haven't seen a better one in over 2 weeks. but I would value this staff because I know how hard of high physical, and it's still exaltable. It can only get better. I'm going to be eternally exalting this at the end of this stream to hopefully get crit chance or attack speed. I'll take either one, or I'll take any resist, and I'll just leave it like that until I'm ready to do it again. But anything useful would be awesome. I would even take int, so that it would make me more flexible in other areas of my gear choices and stuff. I'm really pigeonholed by the lack of int my build has on the tree. Yeah, so I would value this staff around 3.5 exalts. Another thing when you go with price checking is pretty much agreed upon rate of 6 socketing an item is add an X. So if you have a great rare and it was just 6 socketed, you'd give them another X. If it was well, that's what I meant. You would add another X if it was 6 socketed. If it was 6 socketed 5 linked, you would add 2X. If it was 6 linked, then I would add anywhere from 9 to 12. And the reason why I say 9 to 12 on top of the price that it is as a rare is because people do the lottos. Lottos are 9 exalts. So if you wanted to, you want to spend the time and turn on a stream, run a lotto, you could do it for 9 exalts. It would just consume your time. That's why you tip them like 1 to 3 exalts for their time. You can go get that done pretty damn easily. There's so many people doing it. It's well known. On standard, the lotto is 15 exalts, so the payout's a little bit bigger. So you'd probably tip them, you know, 3 to 4 exalts. I don't know. That's probably what I would tip them, so that I wouldn't have to sit there and do it myself. But there was this phenomenon with chevrons on Anarchy for some reason that they were selling for 50 exalts, just 6 socketed, right? But if you somehow 6 linked it, it was worth 80 to 70. So I saw this profit margin. I was like, well, shit, I can just run a 15x lotto and, you know, buy these shavs, which I did. I bought a couple shavs and I 6 linked them through a lotto, and I sold them for, you know, 80 to 85 exalts. It was just like, it was just so stupid to me that why would people buy a shavs with the same roll but 6 linked and somehow it gained 30 exalts worth of value. That was just retarded. I did that with Vol Regalias at the very beginning. People started to catch on. People started to do it themselves, and then the Vol Regalias that were 5 socket or 6 socketed 5 linked dropped. So I stopped doing that because the profit margins weren't really there. But it takes about anywhere from 1 to, like, I would say on average about 300 jewelers to 6 socket something. That's a pretty fair average when it comes to 6 socketing. As far as fusings, it can go from 1 to, I want to say, like 75. I've heard shitty cases where it's like 130, 125, but you know, it's very, very rare. A lot of people can get it within 50 fusings. So 1 exalt is a very fair addition to a price value. Alright, now let's look at weaponry. Now we look at something like this, and we need to go ahead and look at the affixes on the actual mods. The first thing you need to do when you look at something like this on PoE, XYZ, or Explorer is to see if it's quality up, because often it's not, and people will sell you an item based off the DPS that it is right now and not what it could be. So let me pull up the mods compendium. So to understand, okay, so this one is not 6 socketed and 5 linked, so it's just face value, rare. The prefix is 91. Now if we look at the physical damage bonus rating, 91 is in the bracket, that's physical reductions, sorry, right here, 90 to 109. So this one can pretty much only get better. The 22 to 37 is in, we need to go to the Path of Exile website for this, because the owner of that Google Docs Doesn't seem, I guess he quit the game and didn't update his spreadsheet. But at the bottom we can see two-handed damage. Alright, so this one is 22 to 37. So it falls into this bracket right here, annealed. 22 can go up to 24, can go down 4, but the top end can go up significantly. It's 1 from the bottom, so 36 to 42. So we take 42 and 24, and the attack speed, which I know is 23 to 25. The attack speed is bottom roll. The DPS on this can greatly go up. I believe this one was a 355 DPS without the cold damage, and it can go up to like 390, probably 400 with the cold damage. So great, people like will greatly undervalue something like this, especially if it's not qualityed up, and you can get them at bargain deals, like complete bargain. Crit multi is pretty much like a waste. Most sword-based users are resolute technique, spectral throw, heavy strike. Yeah, I mean, you name it. Not many builds will go two-handed crit, so crit stats are kind of wasted. Crit builds are more like either staff, because they have great crit chance. Mine has a 6.68 base, can go up to 9.1 or 9.2 or something like that max, and you can scale off two-handed crit talents. But for the most part, it's yeah, I'm only going to Eternal Exalt my staff once today. I'm hoping for crit chance or max attack speed. I'll take any other suffix, resist, int. They're all going to be useful. I'll Eternal Exalt it sometime later, maybe, if I haven't found anything better in, you know, the coming weeks. But I wanted to go over valuing stuff, how to... you always want to make sure with a weapon that you cover your bases with the divines, especially when it comes to fast or attack-based weapons. Don't screw yourself in price, because when you look at it, it's not as high as you thought. It could be a lot higher with a one divine orb. It goes a long way. Right now, divine orbs are only 5 to 6 chaos on Nemesis, and on standard it's 2 to 1. Worse than that, 0.75 to 1. So you always got to calculate that as far as the risk, whether or not it's worth spamming divines for where you just, you know, overpay by a lot. How much currency have I gotten in Nemesis so far? This much. Plus I bought a lot of gears, so, and gems and stuff. But I'm, you know, pretty successful. I have 12 exalts. I'm using everything as 20/20, or almost 20%. That's what I should say. Okay, so I went over. Let me go back to my notepad. Chromatics, chromes. That's another thing that people don't really understand. If you get off colors on 6-socket and even 4-linked items, it greatly increases or decreases. There was one guy in Anarchy who rolled a shavs that was 6 red. People see 6 red and they see the shavs, you know, 50 exalts or whatever. It's not 50 exalts. The likelihood of getting 6 red on shavs is like 1 in, like, I don't know, like 6 to 8,000, maybe even 10,000, 15,000. It's retardedly hard. For me to get 3 green, 3 red, or 3 green, 2 red in this fucking staff, it took me 720 chromes. And that's because the item is based off of the stat that it has. So if it's a strength int item, it's going to roll red, blue. And the higher the strength is, the harder it is it's going to be to roll the off colors. So let's take a look at so you look at swords. It's 106 strength, 89 dex. So it's pretty 50-50. It's nearly 50-50 that you'll get red and green. So you have no problems judging that. If you get a pure ES item, it's going to be blue. So getting greens and reds are going to be pains up the ass. That's why people do multiple X lotteries for just chromatics. I'll handle all price checks later after the stream. This is more for like a concrete, like maybe a YouTube video of where I just explain price checking and how to value something, and how I accumulate all my wealth. How I accumulate all my wealth is mainly through good price checking. I know what people will pay because I understand their woes. I understand their builds and what it's like to have to travel 5 points to get some other shit because they don't have it on their gear. I get items at such a steal rate because people are ignorant to how good an item actually is. Like my gear I bought retardedly cheap. I was willing to pay more, but that's what they asked for. Okay, so next thing I wanted to cover, I've already covered mirror-based economy. Okay, so price checking. More on the issue of price checking. So I want to share with you guys one of the major tools that I use for price checking. ProTradeChat.com. This is by far one of the most useful tools that you can have as a price checker. This website records trade chat, and it records the first 6, I believe, trade chats 1 through 6, and it consolidates it into one. Notice, as you see, it keeps updating with links and gear, and I can see how much everybody's valuing certain uniques. So let's just say I want to search. I want to find out how much Combs Primacy. I actually know the owner of this website, and I've talked to him a lot, and he does watch my stream. He's actually a donator to my stream. Okay, I hit the search. I hit it again twice on accident. Let me try it. Alright, there we go. So what he does, he parses, he has multiple posts running on, and he parses the logs, and then he filters the log through a database, and then that database is uploaded to this live stream. Oh, I didn't enter anything, that's why. Combs. And it's on I'm searching it through Nemesis League, so it's gonna go and tell me from trade chats 1 through 6 all the Combs premises that were listed, and then I can go and see all the roles that were on it. This one's a 181, 16 to 34, 1.5. So I can call people's bluff on, like, even if I went on vacation for 3 weeks and I was just confused on how much something is actually worth, without having to go to the forums, message people, and see what they're selling it for. Like, if you want to sell your items, look at these roles by hovering over them and seeing how much current offer, 1 exalt, 1 to 2 exalts. But let's say it's even more rare of an item. Combs art. Oops, I gotta hit search again. Sorry about that. Combs heart on Nemesis League. This is what I'm looking for. Okay, so another awesome feature about this website is it green, little Android dude, that means the guy's online. Red means he's AFK, he's inactive, but he's still there. This gray means he's offline. So I can see how long ago he's posted. This is shit from 4 or 5 days ago to weeks ago. So I can watch the trend of, oh, combs are dropping, maybe I shouldn't invest into them. Or they're going up, maybe I'll get one now and I'll flip it later. But whenever I price check uniques, I usually do it through this and POE XYZ to see if something has something like this, like a buyout. I'll look at the buyout, and then I'll look at the rolls, and then I'll judge my price based off the rolls and how much a divine orb costs. But okay, so one hasn't been posted in the first couple trade chats in a couple days. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to enter my email address, email@email.com. And whenever one is posted in the trade chat, it's going to actually send me an email. My phone will ring, and then I can check the email. It'll be like, hey, Hegemonica has posted a Combs heart in Nemesis League. It'll do it the instant. Like, it's instantaneous. You can test it out if you don't believe me. It'll send you the email and it'll say who is actually sending it. So if somebody is just spamming it over and over and over again, like let's just say Johnny Prox. So when you get that email, you see Johnny Prox is posted to Combs, and then tomorrow you see Johnny Prox is posted to Combs. You can tell it to ignore it, or you can just ignore it yourself, by just ignoring the email. But when you see someone new name, then you know, oh, it's another opportunity for me to snatch one. So you can see how powerful this website can be to get you the items that you want, especially the new uniques. The new uniques, you're always going to get the best deals from trade chat, and that's no bullshit. When people put auctions up on the forums, you're probably overpaying or paying more than you should, or more than you can. The best deals are probably going to be in trade chat, because those people are either too lazy to post it on the forums or just trying to get rid of it quick. So trade chat, trade chat, this guy who developed the site has helped me gain so much wealth as far as buying and flipping and price checking my own rares to make sure I'm not screwing myself from value. And as you can see, the chat stream, I can go setting time zone. That's not that important. You just set it relative to you. But you can see it has all leagues, standard, nemesis, and then when you tune in, it's only going to have a clip, right? If you want to see more, you just click on earlier messages. You can keep going up and up and up and up. And so as you can see, I'm like increasing my my feed to this website. But amazing tool for price checking uniques. As far as rares, this is completely worthless. Rares have different properties, all that shit's random. It's too hard to do. It doesn't have a feature where you can sort by quality of gems, but you can search gems. I think it's more likely to do like multi-strike, or let's just try multi-strike. It's funny because I'll message people and they'll be like, I haven't posted that shit in 3 weeks ago. How do you know I have that? And I'm like, oh, a friend told me you were selling one. I wrote it down somewhere and now I'm messaging you. Like, see these offline people? Let's see. Okay, so this guy posted 15 hours ago wanting to sell multi-strike 7 chaos. I'll message him. Does he still have it? More than likely he doesn't. 6 chaos. #1 price checker, potradechat.com for gems, uniques, not rares. Rares you got to do on your own. And weapons, amulets, belts, armor is just the hardest. Okay, let me see what else. I think I've covered. Okay, another good website is Exalting Poe. So you have an item, armor, let's say equipment, jewelry, amulet. Next, mod, life. This is an awesome website that if you're a little overwhelmed with the spreadsheets, that you can just do this individually. Let's just do life and life leech and dex, that's a suffix. This one will tell you all the possible rolls that you have. This won't give you the percentage, which is a shame. It should have, like, I would, if I was the owner of this website, I'd have it red or blue, whether it's common or not common, like a degree of how hard these rolls are to get when you like alter them or augment them. Just adding an additional stat, because for sure the leech and wed are more rare than others. And I've alked thousands and thousands and thousands of items to know that which items or which affixes are rare and which ones are not. Kind of like tyrannical with weapons. But very good website. Don't underrate each attribute. Only devalue an item if it's middle of the road, half caster, half attack. But you got to be careful, because there's those uniques that Crown of Eyes, that spell damage suddenly becomes amazing for a CI attack based user. So that's what I love about this game. It always changes the meta game. Some items that were once shitty are now fucking godly. So I hang on to them. My shops are massive. You can see I have a variety of jewelry, belts, and stuff, and I have no problem selling them. That concludes this segment of price checking. In the next segment, I'm going to go over trading skills, trading habits, and how to become a better trader. So I'm going to end this VOD here and restart the stream so I get another clean VOD. So be right back.